It's finally here, the celebration of Illumination. We are so grateful for all of you guys out there, and we are ready to do this.
Absolutely. We've got a ton of stuff planned over the next hour. But first, let us introduce ourselves. I'm Chris,
And Kristen,
the founders of Power of Positivity. We are very, very, very grateful to have you here, to have 100,000 people in the last almost 5 years now just come together to spread positive energy and love and light and create peace in their hearts and the people around them is just an absolutely amazing thing. We have a lot of prizes to give away today, some of which you've seen on the website. We also have 3 guest speakers. It's going to be an amazing time.
World-renowned guest speakers. They are changing lives everywhere, and we are ready to introduce them to Power Positivity Gang so that you guys can start applying the techniques that you need to have a better life for 2014. So again, thank you so much for being here. Remember, with every like, share, and comment, you guys are changing the world. So just keep at it. And Chris, let's introduce our first guest, Betsy Chasse.
Betsy is an amazing person. We were introduced to the movie What the Bleep Do We Know a few years back. And after watching that movie, we knew that one day we had to really get involved with someone involved in creating the movie. So Betsy is going to talk today about our self-belief system and how to change those beliefs to really create the world we desire. As Buddha once said, the mind is everything. What we think, we become. So Betsy?
Hi, Power of Positivity. My name is Betsy Chasse. I'm the co-creator of the film What the Bleep Do We Know, and I've written a couple of books. One of them, What the Bleep Do We Know, Discovering the Endless Possibilities to Alter Your Everyday Reality. That's a really long title. It's hard for me to remember that one. Another one's called Metanoia, and my new book is coming out in January. It's called Tipping Sacred Cows. And I wanted to say congratulations to the Power of Positivity for getting 100,000 fans. It's a great site, and you guys do awesome stuff, and I'm really honored to be here. You guys sent me some questions, so I'm just gonna rip through them. I have my trusty iPhone here to remember what they are. It said, tell us who you are. Okay, I did that. Oh, so what inspired me to create What the Bleep? So the funny thing is that What the Bleep Do We Know was originally a film called Sacred Science, and I was simply hired on that movie as a line producer to come up and film a documentary about quantum physics. And as these things happen, it went from being a little documentary about quantum physics all the way into what you guys know was What the Bleep Do We Know. And our inspiration really was just wanting to understand what everything meant, what quantum physics was telling us about our reality, how we as humans worked, and the big one being, do our thoughts create our reality? And we thought we kind of answered that question. I mean, quantum physics says that what you think can impact the reality, the observer effect. Since then, we're currently we're in production on our new film, which will be coming out sometime in late 2014. And I just had the opportunity to spend some time with a couple really cool people, one of them being Dean Radin. And he talked a lot about the concept of creating your reality. And what he said was, and this makes a lot of sense to me, he said that, it's highly unlikely that most of us are actually going to, create reality right in front of us. It's not like a Mercedes is going to come flying out of our ass just because we think about it. Most of what we're doing is impacting reality on a really infinitely teeny. If you could insert the word infinite teeny tiny a gazillion times, that's really what we're doing. It takes a really powerful meditator, manifestor to really poof stuff out of their hands. But what we are doing and what we can do, and what I really think is exciting about what Power of Positivity does, is that what we do is we create our perception of reality. That means we get to decide how we think and respond and react to what's going on in the world. So if we are in control of deciding on how to perceive reality, then essentially we can see it any way that we want to. So the Power of Positivity gang wanted to know what was the first moment when I realized that I had power over, or I could create my reality. And I thought about that, and I realized that when I was about, I don't know, somewhere between 7 and 10, somewhere in there, the Olympics were going on, and the Russian gymnast was up and it was her turn, and the American had already gone, and they were neck and neck, and it was the Russian gymnast was just about to do her dismount, and I screamed at the television, "Fall!" And then she totally fell, and I was horrified, and I thought for sure I had just somehow forced that poor Russian girl to fall flat on her face. And that was a moment when I thought, wow, there might be something to this stuff. Of course, I didn't really understand what that was because I was like 7. But anyway, that was the first moment when I thought, well, maybe, you know, if I think hard enough, it might actually happen. Now, you know, with my life the way it is, I don't really think too much in terms of, am I creating reality? I really think about it in terms of, you know, how do I want to perceive my reality, and how do I want to create a life in which I can actually be happy? Because I think that's what most of us are really looking for. And one of the Power of Positivity questions was, how do I maintain happiness when life sucks? And I mean, they didn't put it there because they didn't say sucks. I say sucks. But it's a great question, because I think for me, it really came down to separating happiness from all the external events that go on in my life. I built a foundation of happiness, and one of the ways that I did that was that, you know, I'm older now, I'm 43, and I've lived kind of a long life, and I can remember many times in my life that I stomped my feet and screamed, "This is the worst day of my life," and then like survived that. And I've had a lot of those days. And so I realized that all of the experiences that we have, the great ones, the sucky ones, and everything in between, they're just experiences, they're moments, they're not permanent, it won't last forever. So when you realize that they're just experiences that happen and they keep happening, and one day you're happy and one day you're sad, one day it's sunny, one day it rains, you can separate your peaceful feeling from all of those things. I hope that makes sense, but that's kind of what I've done with it. You know, my happiness isn't really wrapped around, you know, do I have the car, do I have the boyfriend, do I have this, do I have that. It's really wrapped around my own sense of knowing that whatever experience I'm experiencing right now is now, and that it's going to change. And then, in terms of that, I get to choose how I perceive that experience, hence how I'm creating my reality. So if you work hard enough at it, you really can find ways to even take the sucky moments in your life and find something good in them. Even maybe not so much in the moment, but even a few days later. Like, you know, I always like to use the example of the guy calling. So if the guy doesn't call and you were madly in love with him, like 2 days later you meet some other guy that you really like. But if the guy had called and it wasn't right, you would have been sucked into his reality and you would have missed the other guy. So that's a great way to look at it. So you guys wanted to know who is my go-to inspiration and person and why. I have to say that the most inspirational people in my life are my kids. It is so cool to be able to observe them experiencing this world, wonder, excitement, their amazing ability to just make what they want happen, and they're just really joyous beings. And you know, they've really taught me a lot in terms of just understanding how we work. For me, there was no greater way to see how I ended up living the life that I was living, believing the things that I did about myself and about reality, than watching a kid learn it themselves. An example of that is that, you know, most of the reason that we're unhappy in our lives is because we've built up a belief system about ourselves and about reality, most of which probably isn't true. You know, for me, I had a lot of issues revolving around self-worth. Am I lovable? Am I likable? Am I too short? Am I chubby? And I built all these stories about those beliefs into my head, and I lived them. So in a sense that, you know, I dated men who who wouldn't love me because I didn't think that I was worthy of love. And we build all these belief systems, and then we live them. Observing my children have their own experiences in life gave me the opportunity to see how they attach meaning to different experiences, and in turn taught me how I attached my own meaning and gave me the ability to sort of unravel those neural nets. You know, we talk about that a lot in the Bleep, the way in which you know, beliefs are formed through the neural nets of the brain, and cells, neurons that fire together, wire together. So in having this opportunity to raise kids, I was able to see how those neural nets were being connected, and it gave me the ability to unwire those neural nets for myself, and then in essence create this foundation of happiness. one of the things that's interesting to me about the idea of positivity is that, you know, I think it's a great concept to be positive. It really, you know, does kind of make you have a happier life. For me, it wasn't just enough anymore just to be positive and perky and happy and wonderful all the time. I really wanted to have that true sense of positivity, that real core being of positivity. And in order to do that, you really have to break down and deconstruct all of the belief systems and the paradigms and the programming that you've got going on in your head. Otherwise, all you're really doing, and this is what they said in the Bleep, is you're layering a layer of positivity over a whole mountain of negativity, and then you're really not doing the work. And so, you know, the guys in the gal at Power of Positivity asked me, you know, what are some of the things that I do in order to create a more meaningful life and to create happiness in my life. And that's really it. I'm really willing to do the work on myself and to be honest with myself and to be authentic with myself so that I don't have to constantly relive my programming. You know, if I have a belief that I'm not beautiful, why do I have that belief? How can I deconstruct that belief so that I can start living the truth, which is that I'm gorgeous and I'm beautiful and I'm wonderful. So that's really what I should be living. But I've created this belief system. It's firing in my head. We get on lazy brain. By the time you're my age, you know, your brain doesn't really want to learn anything new. It's like, just let me run with what I got here, people. So this is how you have to do it. You have to be willing to do the work. You have to be willing to deconstruct the belief systems that you have in order to build new ones. So you guys asked me, you know, what am I doing next? So I'm currently in production on a What the Bleep Do We Know 2, which is currently called What the Bleep Do We Know, Now What? And like I said, that'll come out sometime probably in the next year. My book, Tipping Sacred Cows, comes out in January. And Tipping Sacred Cows is a book about tipping over not only the belief systems that I held about myself, but a lot of what I think is going on in terms of the New Age, New Thought world, in terms of living what we call a spiritual life, and how I think we've set ourselves up for failure with that, and how to deconstruct some of those concepts that I think have become a little too oversimplified, or maybe we've made them so unattainable that we're frustrated, like living in bliss. What does quantum physics really mean to us? What is the law of attraction? Self-love and unconditional love, forgiveness. It's really about tipping those sacred cows over and understanding how we can really incorporate those ideas into our lives in a way that actually works so you can be happy. I hope you guys are having a great Google Hangout, and I thank you so much for inviting me along. And if you want to know more about me, you can go to my website, betsychasse.net, or you can go to whatthebleep.com, or you can find me on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and anywhere else that, you know, that stuff's going down. I hope you guys have fun. Thank you.
Thank you, Betsy. That was awesome. And if you haven't seen What the Bleep Do We Know, we highly recommend it. It's a great movie.
Absolutely, definitely was. We also look forward to reading the book that we have on our reading list, Tipping Sacred Cows, coming out in January. So if you want, go to Amazon while you're getting What the Bleep. Make sure you get yourself a reserved copy of this as well. Thanks again, Betsy. We really appreciate it. And speaking of books, it's time for our first giveaway. We have Everyday Positive Thinking by Louise Hay and friends. We've just posted the winner of the book on our Facebook page, so go check it out. And now let's move on to our second guest speaker, Tyler Tolman. He's one of our favorite health revolutionists, and we've been following him for quite a few years. He offers really great advice on health and the body and how we can heal ourselves. And as everyone knows, the body is often referred to as the temple of the soul. So really think about that and think about how we're treating our temples. Tyler is going to explain how we can increase the positive energy in our bodies through the food we eat, what we drink, and how we live our everyday experiences. Tyler, over to you.
Hello, this is Tyler Tolman, and I've been asked to make a video on how to increase the energy in our bodies. And I think specifically I'll be getting into a little bit about fresh squeezed whole juices and whole foods. But first of all, I want to talk about different areas of life. My father traveled around the world and learned from many different cultures, and he's passed down something called the 7 Principles of Health. And this 7 Principles of Health that he shared, I've been taking and living for many, many years. And when I bring people from around the world in here to Bali to run programs, we specifically focus on these 7 different areas every single day. And I find that focusing on these 7 different areas, it really does increase the energy of our body, the energy of our mind. It increases everything emotionally, mentally, physically, and even socially. So when I talk about the 7 Principles of Health, they're basically the most critical things to life. And I'm just going to run through them really quickly, and then I'm going to talk a little bit about each one. So first is air, then water, then sunshine. And if you look at it, first, if you stop breathing for more than 5 minutes, you're dead. If you stop drinking water for more than so many days, potentially the same thing. If we don't have light, if the sun didn't exist, all life on earth would be gone. So air, water, sunshine. Life is movement. So exercise, whole foods, and then there's relationships and passion. And I'm going to just share a little bit about how to build energy specifically in the body. So when people come out here to Bali, we'll literally get together every single morning and do specific breathing exercises. Now, one breathing exercise is simply breathing in for 7 seconds, hold for 7 seconds, out for 7 seconds, and hold for 7 seconds. And you repeat that process 7 times. Now, essentially, what is taking place when you do that is you are filling your body with oxygen. You're also pushing the diaphragm, which causes your lymphatic, which is the garbage system of the body, to move to eliminate waste. So if you want to have excess energy and feel good, eliminate waste from the body so that you're clean and bring in a lot of oxygen. Now, oxygen is the spark. The word oxy actually means spark, and gen means to generate. So to generate a spark within the body is where this energy starts. Now, the actual fuel is the carbohydrates, the things that you're bringing into your body. Now, everybody has a different perception of what a carbohydrate is, but a carbohydrate is simply a plant. So when we bring plants into the body and their frequencies, and this mixes with oxygen from the air, we create what's called ATP in the cells. ATP is the process of energy. So if we want to increase energy, breathe deeply and bring in fuel sources that are the closest forms to nature, which haven't been altered, and those are literally your premium fuel. That's your jet fuel. So bringing in fresh fruit, fresh greens, fresh vegetables, fresh nuts and seeds. And there's a specific proportion of those things that you can do. And the next one is the medium for that energy, which is water. So water, we are 70% water, our bodies are 70% water, the earth is 70% water. There's a direct correlation between our bodies and the body of the earth. And if you think about it, eating the types of foods that is going to make us the most healthy and have the most energy are going to be the same percentage of water. So if you go out and you pick an orange, guess what? 70% water. You pick an apple, about 70, 60, 70% water. Pick a watermelon, 90% water. But if we're picking and eating the things that exist in nature that have a high water content with all these phytonutrients and minerals and electricity, that's what's going to do it. We used to have a clock. My dad had this amazing little clock that had an anode and a diode, and you could stick 2 oranges in it and plug it in. You could literally stick these little metal sticks into the fruit, and it would power this clock for months. The fruit would even rot and get all nasty, but it still had the energy pumping out of this fruit. You put a lemon into it, it lasts really long time. So air, water, whole food sources, sunshine. Now the sun is the most abundant source of energy that we know of, especially closest to us. Massive source of energy. Our body is a system of all these solar cells. Our skin is cytophylactic, but it's literally like all these solar cells. If I go out in the sun and I put my hands and I'm up in my body is literally taking in that light and converting it to energy. Now, I know if I go out in the sun for a full hour in direct sunlight, it knocks me out, but within about an hour or two, I just have awesome energy and I feel really good. So getting out into the sun and recharging your batteries. Air, water, sunshine, exercise. The word exercise comes from exercere in Latin, which means to keep. If you want to keep this vehicle and keep it healthy and fit and have more energy, you got to use it. Move around, jump, punch, whatever, lift some weights, go run, go biking, go swimming. The more you use it, the more energy you have. The more you push, the more you do, the more you can do. That type of thing. So we should be moving every day. We should be breaking a sweat every day. That causes us to eliminate toxins. Our body, if we don't feel good, we don't have energy, it's probably because we're toxic. So if we continue to clean the body out and to give it what it needs, we'll typically have energy. The next one is relationships. Now this one is interesting, and I notice that every time I'm in front of a crowd, every time I get in front of people, now my actual background and my profile, if you look into kind of profiling in different people, is I'm a star. I love the starlight. That's why I'm on this camera right now. Hey, look at me, I'm a star. And when I get in front of people and eyeballs start looking at me, that's what gives me energy. Relationships. So if I exclude myself from people, that's not my element. I don't have as much energy. And you may be different, but creating relationships, I know, is going to boost your energy. Positive relationships. Everybody sees it. You know, you're walking down the street, you see a girl who sees another girl who knows each other, and they, oh my God, and they jump up and down, they hug each other, and they're going crazy, and you're just like, whoa, this is cool, look at that. Think of the energy that's there when you see your father that you haven't seen for a long time, or a brother, or a friend, or a loved one. There's a lot of energy that exists between people. So always building and creating new relationships based on positivity, going out and putting yourself out there, getting in front of people and being you, whatever that means for you, but to be yourself and to open up and be vulnerable, to show people who you are, and create a space of growth and interaction and conversation and a positive way is going to build energy for you and for everyone around you. So I highly recommend thinking about this in your relationships, because relationships can also do the opposite. If you're in bad relationships and you get around people that you really don't like to be around, even though you may be stuck together for whatever reason, whether it's a household thing or a marriage thing or whatever it is, it's up to us to be able to change those things and become aware of relationships that are dragging us down and change them into positive relationships, which I believe everybody has the power to do. Now, the last one is passion. Passion. And the word passion has a couple of different words in it that I see. One of them is pass and ion. Now, ions within the body are like little electrical units. And if I can build my electrical units, I'll have energy. There is negative ions that come off of the ocean. So just being close to the ocean, doing a breathing exercise can build energy. Being next to a waterfall can build energy. You can ionize water, you can sit in it, you can drink it, it can add energy. But the energy I'm talking about specifically comes from within. The most amount of energy, I believe, is when you're living your passion. Passing ions. That creates an electric passing of ions that starts to generate fuel and create a spark also within us. And you feel it. If you're doing what you love, and you're in the height of doing what you love, whether it's golfing or playing racquetball or running or biking or competing or speaking, whatever it is, if you're doing something that you absolutely love, that is creating energy. And that energy is creating health. It's creating life. It's creating movement. Now I want to go back to Whole Foods for a second, because Whole Foods is where I really like to play, and I also like to raise the bar when it comes to Whole Foods. And so again, when I look at Whole Foods, I see complete whole beings that exist that are highly energetic. And if we were to take those foods and manipulate them in any way, whether that be to boil them or to cook them or to take them apart and extract their sugars or extract their fats or extract any part of the plant, we're really taking apart that completeness, that wholeness. And then it becomes maybe a supplement or just a simple oil or a sugar or a certain thing, which you can add to foods to sweeten, to make it taste good, to do whatever you're looking to do. But I do believe that it is a takeaway. If you want to be complete and whole and have ultimate energy, You're just going to go directly to the source. And the closest to the source you can get, the more energy you're going to have. And what I mean by that is if you were to actually walk into an apple orchard or a peach orchard or any type of place where there was fruit growing, you would go up, you would pick that fruit from the tree and eat it immediately. And the nerve fluids and the things that exist for that fruit are at their peak. And when I was a kid, I went to a peach orchard. My mom used to take me probably once or twice a year. It only happened a few times, but I would go into that peach orchard and all my senses were enhanced, and the smell of the peaches and the look and the brightness and the colors. There was orange ones and slightly purple ones and a little bit of red. And you would eat these things and it was just like a blast of energy. Absolutely orgasmic in my mouth and in my brain. It felt fantastic. And we need to get back to that. Get back to going in and eating. And would I be like, oh no, there's too much sugar in this, I should only eat one? No. You literally eat until you were absolutely stuffed and couldn't eat anymore. Then you'd take a bunch with you and take off. So getting back to whole foods, getting back to as fresh and as close as you can to nature, as close as you can to picked, and then we can take it even a step further. What's interesting is you can actually take a peach or you can take an orange or an apple and put it through a cold press juicer and extract the pure juices. Now when you drink a juice, if I have 1 liter of juice, how many apples is that? I can tell you it's a lot. It might be 10, it might be 15, it might be 20 or 30 even apples. And it's the pure extraction, the highest level of its vibration coming into the body, a massive amount of nutrients without the body having to deal with a lot of the fibers and a lot of the different things. Now, I'm going to say fiber is absolutely fantastic. It cleans out your body, does a lot of really good things. But when we've been eating, for me, for the last 33 years, nonstop, my digestive system works every day, all day, every day, sometimes at night, depending on how late I eat. Giving the digestive system a break and simply pouring in the liquids and the highest vibrations of fruits and even vegetables and greens is going to give me a massive amount of nutrients. All the amino acids, vitamins, minerals, all of these things, and even some fibers, without my digestive system having to do much. Now I can tell you, when you start to do this, your body's probably going to go into a detoxification stage and be like, wow, got all this energy, time to clean out the organs. Your liver, your kidneys, your lungs, your gallbladder, all these things will start to clean out and you'll feel quite toxic. But after 2 to 3 to 5 and maybe even 6 or 7 days, depending on how toxic you are, all of a sudden you're going to hit a level of mental clarity and energy and physical energy that is going to shock you. So simply adding back in these fresh fruits and whole foods and juices and things of this nature, getting out in the sun, drinking copious amounts of fluid so that we're hydrated, breathing deeply, the 7 rounds of 7, maybe even halfway through a meal or just after to activate the food that we've just brought in, to create happy and good relationships, and to have passion in our life. All of these things are going to lead towards the highest energy that you could possibly have. And the last one that I'm going to talk about is a little bit of sleep. Sleep is highly important. When we go to bed at night, we lay down and we sleep, we regenerate the nerve energy in the brain, and that is like the spark as well. And so we have to have this energy rejuvenated at night. I recommend at least 6 hours of sleep, and preferably 8 hours of sleep every single night. And trying to sleep the hours between 11 and 3 o'clock is absolutely optimal. If you take any 2 or 3 things of anything I just said and you really start to live it and do it, I know you're going to experience higher levels of energy. And to actually have the experience is the most important thing. This is the knowledge. Then to take that knowledge and practice it and then become it, you'll start to experience more and more. And as you experience more, you're going to want more. Come back, watch the video again, pick up on something else, and let's take this energy to the next level. Thanks for watching.
Wow, thank you, Tyler. You always bring a fresh perspective for us. We appreciate that. And actually, you brought up a fond memory to me. When I was a child, I would pick apples in the apple orchard every fall, and it really does invigorate your senses like that. So makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, it really does. And like you were talking about, Tyler, with the the living nutrients in the raw foods, with fruits and vegetables, when you eat that fresh apple or where you squeeze that fresh green juice, you can literally feel your body say, "Thank you." It's one of the most amazing feelings in the world.
Absolutely. So what do you say? Time for another giveaway?
Yeah, while we're talking about health, let's do it. We also have this pretty awesome acupressure mat from Heavenly Mats and acupressure pillow. We've just announced the winner of that on our Facebook page. Make sure you hop over there and check it out while we're streaming.
The Heavenly Mat is amazing. I use it for my back, and if I'm not feeling well, and afterwards, even just 10-15 minutes, I really feel like I just had a massage. So, really exciting stuff. Go check it out on the Facebook page. So let's announce our third and final speaker, Stephen Edwards. He is amazing. He's one of our original mentors. He's worked with Tony Robbins, Robert Kiyosaki, just to name a few. And we are so blessed to have him at this event. He is very knowledgeable. He's going to really help many of you.
Absolutely, he will. And he's really just living proof that your spirit can come alive to create the world you desire.
Absolutely.
So without further ado, Stephen Edwards, over to you.
Hello, my name is Stephen Edwards, and first of all I want to say what an honor and a privilege it is to make this short video for you and for Chris and Kristen, who not that long ago were students of mine at an event in Las Vegas, and now of course they've got an incredible business and have this landmark event where they now have 1 million subscribers across the world. So congratulations to Chris and Kristen. You know, one of the things that I recognized about Chris and Kristen from the moment they came to my event was this air of gratitude that they had. They were just grateful to be there. They were grateful the event was on, and they were grateful for this opportunity that they had to change their lives, because when they came to that event, things were not going that well for them. They were a little bit down. They were not feeling good about themselves and necessarily about each other, and they were feeling unhealthy. But they came to the event, and because of their gratitude, they were so open to learning and adopting new ways of thinking and new ways of being in the world. And as a result of doing those things, they have an incredible life now, and they're very healthy, and they're very happy, and they're grateful for everything. They're grateful for each other, the amazing relationship that they have together. They're grateful for waking up every day. I mean, they're just such happy people, and they're very grateful, I know, for all of you, their students, because you inspire them as much as they inspire you. And you know, at this time of year now, we've just had Thanksgiving, which of course is a time to be grateful. And we're going to the holidays here, which is another time to be grateful. And it's so important that we connect with that powerful energy, because when we're grateful, we can't experience fear. You know, Sir John Templeton said, what's the best way to destroy fear? And he said, gratitude. So it's hard though, because we have got busy lives anyway, and this time of year puts more pressure on us to go out and do the things we need to do to get the right presents, to get the perfect gift, to make sure that we do the best we can to take care of our families, to prepare the house or the meals, or to fly, or whatever we're going to do. It's just a lot at a time where there's already a lot of stresses in our lives. So it's great that you're doing this, taking the time to reconnect with yourself, to get some good mind feed, and hopefully in this little video here to get some good heart feed as well, so that you can enjoy this holiday time. And I know for some people it's a great time. It's a time to be with family, and it's exciting. For some of us it's a difficult time, because we can't necessarily be with all of our family for one reason or maybe they're not here anymore, or they're in a different part of the world where you can't get together at the same time, or there are all kinds of challenges in families that happen. We all know that, and sometimes you just all can't be together. I'm in that situation right now. I can't be with all my family as I would like to be at this holiday time. But those are times for us still to be grateful for what we do have, and grateful that those people have or have been in our lives, so that we can create more in our lives, more abundance. The more grateful we feel, the more abundance we experience. The more that we feel like we don't have enough or we're not enough, then the less we experience in our lives. So gratitude is such an important part. And you know, like I said, Chris and Kristen are just very grateful people. The time of year right now is also thinking about renewal. You know, we have a new year coming up, and people were thinking about our hopes and aspirations for the new year. But, you know, one of the things that I focus on at my event, the event that Kristen came to, is learning how to be who we really are in this life, rather than who people expect us to be. You know, Hospice did a study on the top 5 regrets of the dying, and the number 1 regret of the dying is, I wish I'd lived a life true to myself, not the life that others expected of me. Not always easy to do, because you live your life according to who you are, people are not always going to like it. But if we try and be liked by everybody, then we end up disliking ourselves because we're not being authentic. And that's the other thing I love about Chris and Kristen. They're so authentic. They're just themselves. Just the other day, I sent them an email asking them if they could help me with an area of my business. Now, it would have been easy. We all do this sometimes. We just say, oh yeah, I'll help you, and then put more stress on ourselves when we really can't do it. But they just very nicely and said, we really appreciate you asking us to do this, but we're not in a position to do it right now. We need to focus on this, and we'll see if we can help you find someone who can do that, but we're not able to do that. That's powerful. That's coming from a place of inner power, confidence, being who you really are, and still doing that in a loving way, which is something else I admire about Chris and Kristen. So this time of year, often people say, it's really all about the children, and I would agree with that. Every so often I get this inspiration to write poetry. I'm English, what can I tell you, right? So, but when I get this inspiration, I feel like it comes from a different part of me, a part of me that I call my soul. And so I don't call it poetry, I call it soultry. And so this is a poignant time to share some with you. I hope you like it. This is called Children Are Playing. Children are playing like instruments that sound the song. They are the life of creation, in which they always belong. For their cries and their laughter in life, we will always long. In our minds, they make mistakes, but in our hearts, they can do no wrong. As they grow through experience at what seems like an incredible pace, we hold their hand and their heart through all that they face. When we finally let go for them to find their own space, we make sure they know in our heart and home they will always have a place. Into the future they run with the wind in their hair. Through the challenges they face, they find strength because they know that you are there. In all of the gifts that life brings, nothing can compare to know that you love them and to know that you care. As they become the glory that they have compiled, they may have lived a life that was tranquil and mild. They may have been crazy, outrageous, and wild, but in the eyes of creation, you are always a child. You see, what we see in children at Christmas is what we want to experience in ourselves. Not being childish, but being childlike. And throughout our lives, we build these walls around our inner child because we think that those walls are going to protect us, but they often make us feel alone in a room of 1,000 people. And the secret to love and loving is being vulnerable. You know, and I remember when Kristen came to my event, they made themselves vulnerable. They didn't build up any walls, they didn't put on any pretense, they were just being who they are. And they became stars of the event. Everybody loved them because they saw that inner child in them. They saw that sense of wonder, that sense of excitement, that passion for life, that light in them that was so bright. So how do you do that? How do you connect with that inner child? It's, like I said, it's being prepared to become vulnerable. It's about knowing that you can't do it all on your own, that we all need each other, we all need help. And the more vulnerable you become, then the more help that you actually attract, the more people you attract in your life, the more love you experience, and the more you're able to give love as well as receive it. So these are just some things to consider and think about during this holiday season. In my belief, in my world, I believe the greatest gift you can give to yourself or all of those around you is to be who you really are, the real you in the presence of others. And it takes some practice to do that. It takes some learning of how do you handle situations, just like the one I gave you with Chris and Kristen. You're going to say no sometimes, but you've got to be prepared to say no, but doing it in a nice, loving way, but taking care of your own space to be who you really are. So I thought I'd share this other little piece of soultry here that I have. It's called Who You Really Are. Imagine a world in which all your wishes are granted, where all your desires are from seeds carefully planted. Love flows from your heart and expands across the land. All your questions have been answered. You now understand. There is no direction you cannot take if you choose. The universe is all yours, so now you have nothing to lose. You have created the vision that has become the new frontier. Now all your dreams manifest for you here. As you look out once more from the point of no return, you remember with everything that there is nothing to learn. You chose to forget that which your soul always knows, that you are the light into which all of creation flows. The greatest celebration suddenly and vividly breaks out in bliss. There has never been the feeling or a moment quite like this. The entirety of totality that came to exist from the brightest star has come to be with you as you accept and be who you really are. So what gives people the courage to do that? Well, one of the things that we talk about at that event that Chris and Kristen came to was having a sense of mission for your life, a vision for your life, and a sense of purpose for your life. I call it your MVP. And that is the driving force that causes people to live life on their terms, to, you know, the great people we think of, whether we think of Mahatma Gandhi, right, who got the British out of India peacefully. I mean, that was an unreasonable feat. I think you might agree with that, right? Can you imagine when he was a young boy, he could have been telling his friends, his buddies, yes, oh yes, I am going to get the British out of India peacefully. It's about my best Indian accent. My Indian friends give me a hard time about it. But what would they have said to him? They would have said he was crazy. Or Nelson Mandela, who ended apartheid in South Africa. Martin Luther King. It was not reasonable to have that dream when he had that dream, right? It wasn't reasonable for Phil Knight to create Nike, or for Bill Gates to create Microsoft, or Steve Jobs to create Apple, or Walt Disney to create Disneyland. He built a theme park around a mouse, for goodness sake. So the scary thing when you start thinking about a mission, vision, and purpose is, how am I going to be able to do this? But you have to put that out of your mind. The how doesn't have to come from you. The how will appear in your life. You just need to set the intention to create that mission, vision, and purpose. And all your life's experiences have prepared you for it. You just have to sit down, get quiet, put on some inspiring music, and start to write and ask yourself, why am I here? I'm going to read you another piece of poetry that might inspire you to do that. Just take a few minutes to get started, because once you do, it'll become your magnificent obsession. And the only regret you'll ever have is that you didn't do it sooner. So I'm going to read this to you. It's called Make It Your Dream. Don't push too hard. You just might fall. Being good isn't enough. You must give it your all. Unless they need something, they never seem to call. So we protect ourselves by building a wall. But take down all the walls and what do you see? That people are really just like you and like me. When we can love each other, it sets us all free. Because what I do for you, I also do for me. We are beginning to balance the left and the right, the male and the female, the day and the night. We're all coming to realize that we all have second sight, that inside each one of us shines the brightest light. We are remembering that we need to give and to take, that nothing is real. Reality is just something that we make. Life is never against us. It all happens for our sake. And life exists in all things, even a snowflake. Everything outside of us is only pretend. Life never began, and it will never end. You may not like the truth, but it is really your best friend. And you are creating yours with every thought that you send. You are love, light, and energy with a creative force. Your thoughts, words, and actions determine your course. So align yourself with what you know to be true, that the world you live in is a reflection of you. So what do you see when you look outside? Does it remind you of what you feel inside? Are people against you, or are they on your side? Is your mind closed down, or is your heart open wide? Do you give love freely, or are you caught up in pride? Can you see who you are, or do you stay home and hide? Who really knows you? In whom do you confide? Have you come here to watch, or enjoy the ride? You may not have done it, but have you ever really tried? How you live is your choice, so you must decide. Whether you struggle through life or whether you glide. Will you stay in one place, or will you travel far and wide? Do you believe you can do it, or that you always fail? Do you wonder what's out there, or do you set sail? Would you rather watch TV, or would you rather save a whale? Do you believe in miracles, that life is a fairy tale? Well, I believe in all great things, and I believe in you. I know that once you decide that there is nothing that you can't do. So, jump off your mountain and dive into the stream. Live your life to the full. Make it your dream. That's what life is about. Going for your dreams, deciding what your dreams are, having a sense of mission, a vision, and a purpose for your life. So one of the things I also admire about Chris and Kristen is they didn't just come to an event, have a great time, and be all come by hour at the end, and then go home and forget it. What they did is they absolutely made sure that they took action, that they applied what they learned. You know, Socrates once said, learning is simply remembering. And that we remember through our experiences, by going out and doing the things that we want to do in life. The Greeks also had a saying, saper ord, which means dare to be wise. So knowledge in of itself is not powerful. It only becomes powerful when you apply it. And when you apply knowledge, then it becomes wisdom, because you apply it and have experiences. So I came up with an acronym for DARE. Saper ord, dare to be wise. So DARE, D-A-R-E, daily active remembering experience. So I'm going to set you a dare. You know, the ultimate dare in life is to be who you really are. And the way that we have the courage to do that is by creating a mission, vision, and purpose for our lives. The mission is the ultimate goal of what you want your life to be about. The vision is you've got to be able to see it in order for it to come into being. You know, the Native American Indians have told us that we live in a dream. The question is, whose dream are you living in? You've got to envision your life the way you want it to be. Everything on the face of the earth began in the mind of someone. So whose dream are you living in? When would now be a good time to create your own vision? And the purpose is serving others. So why is this important to you and important to others? And the last thing I want to share with you is that rather than trying to figure out how all this is going to work, follow your heart. Now that sounds like a simplistic way of saying things. Here's an irony. In 1898, Nikola Tesla discovered that the earth has a heartbeat. It has a pulse, a frequency that comes out of it every 7.8 beats per second. Now, what's recently been discovered by the HeartMath Institute, heartmath.org, is that that frequency enters our heart. You don't feel it like you don't feel a pulse, but it's coming into our heart sends a signal to the brain back, to the cells of the body back to the brain to the heart, and the heart back into the earth. It's the circuit of life, the circle of life. And that frequency is also our intuition. What cuts us off is fear, and just going into our head and ego. The heart knows no fear, and the heart has as many neurons as the brain. And isn't it interesting, the ancients used to say, live from the heart, speak from the heart. And when you do that and you follow that intuition, everything that you need is flowing into your life. And your intuition will tell you what to act upon. And then you'll be free. And your spirit wants to be free. So, your dare is to begin to create your mission, vision, and purpose. Start to practice feeling in your heart. Allowing your intuition to guide you in small things initially. And build that connection so that you can live the life you truly want. That's the greatest gift you can give yourself, and it's the greatest gift you can give your family. And I can tell you, the reason that Kristen and Chris are so successful, that so many people are drawn to them, is because that's how they live their lives. So, Have a wonderful holiday season. Be grateful. Start working on your mission, vision, and purpose, and follow your heart. Follow your intuition. By the way, one last thing. Little exercise for you to do that you'll find very interesting. You take a piece of paper, and all I want you to do is write the word Earth across the page over and over again, in lowercase. And just look what you find and what you see. I wish you all a wonderful holiday season. I wish you all the very best for 2014. Until we meet again, remember, Saper Ord, dare to be wise. Thanks for watching.
Wow, Stephen. Just wow. That soul tree is on point. Thank you so much for sharing that with us.
You're an incredible individual. We appreciate you being here with us today. Most importantly, if anybody out there ever gets the chance to go out to Las Vegas to attend one of Stephen's events, we highly recommend it. It is definitely worth your time. And plus, it's in Vegas, something you don't want to miss.
It's been life-changing for us, and definitely consider it. It was great.
Right. It'll propel your mission, vision, and purpose in so many ways you never thought possible before. Oh, and by the way, I forgot to mention, if everybody's out there still paying attention, we still have 2 things to give away for our event. The first thing, of course, is a book by our wonderful friend Didinsky, who has written the amazing little book called In the Garden of Thoughts.
If you haven't seen this book yet, it is so beautiful. The words are so touching, and look at some of these illustrations.
Yeah, very
amazing.
Very good
really.
Stuff. So, if you hop back over onto our Facebook page, you'll notice that we just posted the winner for that. Congratulations very much. You'll enjoy the book. And also, for our second of 2 last giveaways, we have our Power of Positivity mug that holds your great coffee or tea. Very good. Has 9 affirmations on it, so you will be able to tell yourself how wonderful you are every single morning. That's absolutely correct. Now, I think that just about wraps it up for today, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I've had a lot of fun. How about you guys?
Oh yeah, most definitely. Lots of fun. We will be doing a lot more of this in the future. So from both of us, Kristen and I, we really are grateful that you were here with us today. Thank you so much for attending. This is always available on YouTube to watch, so keep replaying, keep going back, watching things, pick new things up out of the videos from our guest speakers, Betsy Chasse, Tyler Tolman, Stephen Edwards. Thank you again. You guys are all great.
If you have any recommendations for the future for speakers or ideas, we're always open to listening and hearing. We love hearing from the community, and you guys have made Power Positivity what it is today, and I am just so unbelievably grateful. Thank you.
Absolutely. So, as always, we like to say, stay grateful, stay happy, and shine on.
Absolutely. Shine on.
Peace out, everybody.
Peace out, guys. Thank you.